12 rollable chunks, almost half of them death chunks, with exactly one lottery ticket mixed in. It has already been 124 days since my last chunk roll, thanks to these massive skilling tasks in Keldagrim. And this. Yeah, I might have gotten a little bit addicted to leagues this year. However, we are getting closer and closer to the upcoming chunk roll, and there's almost a 50-50 chance for it to be completely non-consequential or the biggest single grind in the history of this series. Welcome back to Rellekka Extreme 1 Chunk. Welcome back everyone. Now I am going to be straight up with you. There's not going to be a chunk roll in this episode, and unfortunately I don't even have all that much progress to show you. But as a little recap, in the previous episodes I completed 2 of the 4 massive chunk tasks in Keldagrim, mining and crafting. Now all that is left is smithing and fletching, and the situation at the moment is that I need to buy 62,000 mithril ore and 124,000 coal from the blast furnace shop, smelt them up to bars, smith all of them into arrow tips and fletch all of them into mithril arrows. But as buying almost 200,000 pieces of ore isn't exactly riveting content, there's not gonna be too many clips of progress in this video. Instead, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the next chunk roll. Since we are getting quite close to it, I would estimate I only have about a few hundred hours of smithing and fletching to do, and then we are free to roll again. So this is what the chunk map is looking like at the moment, and it is quite unique and interesting. There's a couple of chunks to the north and northeast, but once those chunks are done, the only ways forward are south, west and southeast. And as you can see, all of these directions are blocked off with death chunks, meaning that sooner rather than later I am going to roll a death chunk for certain. However, the order here is extremely important. There are a few ways I can avoid most of the big grinds if I roll certain key chunks first. Let's take a look at these options individually. Starting off with number 1, etc. This is almost a death chunk, maybe not quite, but a really long chunk anyways. There is only one task: grow a poison ivy berry bush at level 70 farming, and my only ways of training farming are a single hops patch near McRubber's wood and the berry bush patch and raking the spirit tree patch next to it. Luckily, I can make garden pies, making the requirement actually only 67 farming, but that is still 536,000 XP away. To put that in perspective, that is about 9,000 Jenga berries plus another 12,000 white berries I would need to harvest from this one single bush patch, as I don't have very good methods of gathering new seeds. Maybe a few thousand berries less if I continuously rake all the patches, kill trolls all the time in hopes of wild blood hop seeds and berry bush seeds, and replant as often as I can, but it is still going to be a multiple month grind just picking some berries. Not ideal to say the least. I would give this chunk at the moment a score of 4 out of 10. This video is not sponsored. I know that is unheard of. An OSRS video is not sponsored. What is going on? Anyways, this video sponsor kind of pulled out at the last minute, so I have a couple of minutes right here to fill with whatever content I want to. And as it is Christmas time and the time of giving, I'm going to do something a little bit different here and give a couple of shoutouts to 1 chunk YouTubers who I've been enjoying watching lately and are still severely underrated in my opinion. First up, we have a Clubs. He is doing a Prifdinish chunk, the prequel edition at the moment, which basically means that he is trying to rush the Song of the Elves as soon as possible with as little experience, levels, quests and everything done as possible. And that leads to some very hilarious and exciting kind of training methods, for example doing some hoop on sticks and attack stones, if you have ever heard of those. Probably not, so go ahead and give him a watch. It's really entertaining and he's a really good editor as well. Next, one of my personal favorite long-time series going on at the moment, Valamor 1 Chunk Ironman Krak with a K. When Valamor came out, he started in Valamor with his 1 Chunk Ironman, and at the moment he's doing some Colosseum content and some other content as well, and he has a very interesting and personal rule set that he uses for progressing in the Colosseum. And the things you need to know about Krak is that he does his original music and he is an extremely skilled player at the Colosseum. As you can see from the clips here, he is doing Colosseum with like a runite mace and a lederhosen hat and stuff like that, which I could never do, at least at the moment. So he is a really good gamer and also a very entertaining professional. So go ahead and give him a watch as well. And finally, one of my personal favorites, Hannibal, also known as CS Supreme. He has been in the CS village for a lifetime at this point. He's doing a Supreme one-chunk Ironman, meaning that he has to get everything in one chunk, including skilling pets like the beaver. And he is kind of a meme at the moment in the chunk chat community. He doesn't have the beaver, even though he has gotten like, I think 35 million woodcutting XP or something like that. The man has been there for 3,000 hours so far, and that just means that he can grind, and his voice is honey for your ears, so go ahead and give him a watch and a subscribe as well. So that's my unsponsored section of the video. Now let's get back into the content. Chunk number 2, East Ice Trolls. There's nothing here really. I would need 20 construction to continue the Fremenic Isles quest, and that is not happening for a while until I'll unlock a method to train construction. Mostly it is a free chunk, maybe a few more spots to kill ice trolls, but that's about it. I'd give it a score of maybe 5 or 6 out of 10. Chunk number 3, West Ice Trolls, same story, except here I think there's actually a pretty good spot to kill the Ice Trolls alongside the Fremenic Warriors, which would speed up the kills quite a bit, so it's an okay chunk to get at the moment, not too bad. I'll give it a score of 7 out of 10. Not great, not bad at all. Chunk number 4, the infamous Waterbirth Island. Right now, it is not too bad, as I cannot access the Dagon of Kings without a Rune Throne Axe or 85 agility for the shortcut that skips the Rune Throne Axe doors. However, I am very close to triggering that agility grind and thus getting access to the Kings, making this the ultimate death chunk. 85 agility, all unique Dagon of Kings items, 68 magic thanks to Velasalki rune drops, and the cherry on the top, not 1, not 2, but 3 1 in 5,000 pets. All this without access to anti-poisons or prey restoration, mind you. Now, to be completely honest, if I roll this chunk right now and trigger the agility grind with another chunk roll, I would probably just backlog the pets or make some sort of a compromise, like get one of the 3 pets. 15,000 Dagon of King kills just to go on raid for the pet seems insane, and with my gear and access to supplies it would take well over a year or 2 most probably. But we will cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, I will give it a score of 1 out of 10. Please don't make me go here just yet. Chunk number 5, the first of the so-called baby death chunks. Not as in baby death, but like a small death chunk. Yep, you get it. There's an agility shortcut bridge here which would trigger the level 80 agility grind for the Rellekka rooftop course. Now I am level 29 agility at the moment, and I have unlocked the bike in Keldagrim, which is usable from level 30 onwards and is actually quite a chill agility training method. However, biking from level 30 to 80 agility would take me about 500 to 700 hours. So yeah, that is a fuck ton of biking. But it is just a click once every few minutes and that's it. I could knock that out in a couple of months, I think, while being able to play my main Ironman and make some other videos, so it's not the end of the world. However, there are better ways of training agility, which we will get to in just a second. So again, this is not exactly an ideal chunk to roll just yet. I'll give it a score of 3 out of 10. Chunk number 6, arguably even worse than number 5. It has the coal trucks agility shortcut, so it would trigger the same 500-hour biking grind, but with the added bonus of bringing me right next to another death chunk, the Baxtorian Falls, which houses the fabled 1 in 10,923 Dragon Fulham drop from the Mithril Dragons without access to Dragonfire protection. Oh yeah, and the Draconic Visage and a few Elite Dire Steps as well. Let's not go here, okay? Score 1 out of 10, thanks but no thanks. Now we are getting to the good stuff. Chunk number 7, Ranging Guild. Obviously a 99 range task for the skill cape, but that's pretty much it. This would also bring me right next to 2 other skill capes, the Fishing Cape and the Fire Making Cape chunks, so that's not too great to be honest. But I would actually love to get a Ranging Cape. I'm going to have a lifetime supply of arrows from this current smithing grind, and I have access to rock crabs, ice trolls and some other decent monsters to kill, so it would actually be pretty fun. Plus the skill cape itself is amazing, as it grants the 72% chance ammo saving effect from Aves accumulator even without completing animal magnetism, on top of the decent defensive bonuses and looking absolutely amazing. And hey, I could go and meet Josh. That is a bonus for sure. Really fun and good chunk to get, although a little grindy for sure. I'll give it a score of 8 out of 10. Next up, the lottery ticket. Chunk number 8, CS Village. The best chunk in the history of one chunks, the equivalent of Santa Claus giving you a scratch card for Christmas that turns out to be the jackpot. First of all, it's the home of Mr. CS Supreme, Hannibal himself, which is already enough to be excited about. But what CS Village does is it makes a lot of otherwise scary grinds very manageable with 3 really awesome things I want to highlight. To start off, there's the CS Rooftop Agility course available from level 60 onwards. This would cut my biking grind from level 30 to 80 to just 30 to 60, which means about 450 hours less time spent on the bike. I cannot stress enough how amazing that would be. Secondly, CS Village would give me access to magic, and not just by killing millions of Walasal keys for runes, but killing a couple of elementals for their respective elemental staves. I already have a basically endless supply of nature runes from the nature rune chest, so just pairing a fire staff with that means magic training is extremely simple for the foreseeable future. And finally, the one and only altar in the whole region before Ardon or Tavali happens to be in this chunk as well. If I ever want to go and kill Dagannoth Kings or some other bosses effectively, a prayer restoration method would be quite beneficial. And you know, on top of all of these benefits, I would get access to things like the rune crossbow, the amulet of glory, a combat bracelet, and so on and so on and so on. Hands down and nuts on the table, the best chunk by a landslide. Score 11 out of 10. And then chunk number 9. Nah, it is just corner content for now. Score irrelevant out of 10. Chunk 10, the mountain camp. This is a really cool chunk. There's a couple of new clue steps that I could complete here and obviously start the mountain daughter quest. And I really like the vibe of this place. I think it's just a super cool little hidden place. But there's really not that much content here, so I guess maybe a score of 7 out of 10 is in place. Chunk number 11, also corner content. There's a small sliver of snowy area I could access here, and to be honest, the other parts of this chunk are pretty much empty as well. So another irrelevant out of 10 score. And finally, chunk number 12, the Rellekka Hunter area. Very interesting chunk. I am level 16 Hunter, so 1 lamp off of Puro. And there are a few different wheat fields nearby, namely in Miscellanea, North Ardon and Catherby. I'm not going to purposefully trigger Puro before I roll this chunk, since I can train Hunter here with the butterflies, and I'm pretty sure the saber-tooth kebits as well, making the 89 Hunter grind for lucky implings a lot more manageable and fun with this area unlocked. At the moment there are no tasks here, so it is a very good chunk to get early, 10 out of 10 score in my opinion. So that is all the chunks we can roll at the moment, but let's take a look at a couple of other honorable mentions as well. Camelot Castle and North Ardon are both just 1 chunk roll away from being rollable and have a herb patch in them. That is a quite steep 85 farming requirement for Torstals without access to any other farming patches in the world. Really miserable, and to be honest, maybe even backlockable, as it would mean most probably a year or so just full-time farming a single patch to reach that level. Again, I am hoping I unlock some other key chunks and farming patches first, such as the fruit tree patch in Catherby, or a tree patch in the Gnome Stronghold, or even just a bush patch in Etceteria, but we'll see how it goes. And finally, in the west, we have these 2 death chunks stacked on top of each other, Barbarian Assault and Backstorian Falls. Backstorian Falls I already touched upon earlier. That's the Dragon Full Helm, Dragonic Visage clusterfuck of RNG grinds from Mithril Dragons, and Barbarian Assault. Well, it's just the rarest pet in the whole game, rarer than the Nibbler or the Bloodhound, with a grand total of 2,624 players getting the pet in almost 10 years of the game existing. What could go wrong? And finally, I do also want to talk about Keldagrim a little bit. Keldagrim as a chunk was really interesting. It was simultaneously a very bad death chunk with all of these massive skilling tasks, but it was also one of the best, if not the best chunk that I could roll. Because all of the methods in Keldagrim allow for some amazing training, like mining you get the Motherlode Mine, for crafting you get the pipes, which are not too bad, for smithing you get Blast Furnace, for fletching you just get the bars that you get from Blast Furnace, so everything is actually pretty good in Keldagrim. It's just that all of them staggered together in one chunk is a really grueling experience, and you just have to, grind all of this stuff at the once, and just everything simultaneously is a lot of things to do, and that's why this chunk has taken me 4 months so far. But as I said, Keldagrim is a really good chunk. If you are going to do these grinds like 99 smithing or 90 mining or anything like that you want to do them with good methods, like the motherlode mine, like the blast furnace, and so on and so on. You know, the other option would be get like 90 mining with a bronze pickaxe at some random runite rocks or random iron rocks, or I don't know. Anyways, the main point is that the methods in Keldagrim are actually pretty good. It's just a lot of things at once which makes it a really bad death chunk. And on top of that, we obviously get a lot of benefits from Keldagrim as well. We get a lot of arrows from the fletching smithing grind. We get a lot of runite items for our new best in slot gear. We get access to the bike, which is certainly better than just access to a shortcut. And I guess we also get access to breweries, if we can maybe brew something in the future. Probably not, but I don't know, might be interesting. But yes, that is going to do it for all the chunk roll possibilities. Checking in on Rellekker here. I have not just been playing leagues, I have been at work buying some ores from Odin, the ore seller right here. As you can see, our cash stack is quite dwindling at the moment, 1.7 mil left of that green 10 mil cash stack that we had earlier. But that means that we have a shit ton of ore in the bank right here. I'm going to show you in just a second, deposit all of this. And there you can see 62,000 coal and almost 34,000 mithril ore as well. So that is almost 34,000 mithril bars that I can make, and that is 90 fletching banked already. So that is basically one chunk task knocked off the list as soon as I just make all of these into bars, smith them all into arrow tips and make them all into arrows. So that is basically done. So now I just need another like 30,000 or 40,000 mithril and the coal to go with that. So I am about halfway there, I think, so I just need to buy some more and then we are done with this. I just the unfortunate thing is that I am going to run out of money really soon, so I think I do need to get back into smithing some plate bodies or something again pretty soon and start selling some stuff. I do still have some gold bracelets and other things that I can sell, so it's not the end of the world. But that just means that I unfortunately cannot buy everything at once. I need to take a little break and sell something and then we can continue. But that is going to do it for this episode. I know that it's more like of a talk episode and less progress, but as I said, there's not really many clips to show from just buying hundreds of thousands of ore, so unfortunately that is the case. The next episode we are going to roll a new chunk, that is important, so mark your calendars, I don't know when, but mark them anyways. The next episode is going to be a chunk roll, and I think I'm going to do a YouTube premiere kind of a video for that. So that's kind of like a middle ground between a video and a live recording, so everybody can see the same chunk roll at the same time live right here on YouTube. But anyways, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video. Happy holidays everyone, stay safe and have fun.